Team Conrad or Jeremiah? Listen, have you ever stopped being a Taylor fan? Yes, actually. What was it like working with Tyler Oakley and Bethany Mota? Stefan or Damon? Finally, someone asking the hard-hitting questions. Least favorite Taylor album? Okay, let's get into this. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Ali and today we are getting personal. In case you don't follow me on Instagram, I explained that I'm going away for a family wedding. Therefore, this week I wouldn't have time to do a proper, in-depth, well-planned, well-researched video. So I thought, what's something else that I know a lot about? Me. We haven't done like a get to know me Q&A in, I want to say years. So if this is your first one, I hope this doesn't scare you off. I promise we will be back to regularly scheduled programming ASAP, including reacting to Tortured Poets next week, which is insane to think that the next time we chat, we will be hearing new Taylor Swift songs. So to the 40% of you that watch me regularly but aren't subscribed, this is your reminder to fix that. So you can watch my reaction and all future Tortured Poets Department videos that are coming up. Without further ado, let's get into your questions. I'm very pink today, aren't I? Imagine that was an Easter egg for something. It's not. Okay, we're starting off strong. Predicted favorite songs on the Tortured Poets Department. I always love a track one, like the one, State of Grace, mine. I'm always a sucker for an album opener. So I think Fortnite will hit with me, but Daddy I Love Him is obviously so intriguing. And if you want to know all my theories on what I think these songs are about, I have a full video breakdown on that, which I will link below. So obviously the themes that we are expecting to hear in that song, I'm very excited by. Also Florida, exclamation mark. Super intrigued by. I think I'm going to love that song. Obviously, So Long London is a track 5, so we're all like dying to hear that. You guys know my theory on LOML is that it could be about the fans. So if we are getting a Long Live 2.0, it's over for me. It's done. But also, with how much I love the Lucky One, Clara Bow is going to be so interesting. The fact that it's the last song on the standard album is so intriguing. Look, because you asked so kindly, I'll do a pre-listen ranking for you. Here is the order in which I think I will like or dislike these songs. Obviously they're all gonna slap, but like just based off titles alone, this is what I think my vibe will be. I can't wait to come back after listening and see how wrong I was. But let me know in the comments. I would love to know what you think your favorite will be as well. I should have known I would get this one. Team Conrad or Jeremiah? Okay, listen, I know there is a correct answer. I know that. I know who Belly will end up with, and that is who she should end up with. However, I dated someone who looked exactly like Conrad. Therefore, I find it a little bit hard to like vibe with his character, you know? I struggled with season 1, and not to judge him for how he deals with his grief. Obviously, we know Conrad in season 1 was going through a very tough time, keeping a lot to himself. But the way he treated Belly, when I think about the moment that we meet the two brothers, the contrast in the way she was greeted.
Oh, come here. Look who came back all grown up. I liked you better with glasses.
My choice was made for me. Unfortunately, I just can't deal with like the sad, moody type. I know his mom had cancer and he was like keeping that to himself. Meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, but could you smile, please? However, those writers really knew how to pull me back in season 2 when they gave us the Nathan Scott reference.
You got nothing, Scott. Nothing. You got nothing. You got nothing. Let's go, baby.
I was back on board. I see what you did there and I appreciated it.
I get it, like, I respect it.
So I think once season 3 comes around, it's Connie baby for the win. What was it like working with Tyler Oakley and Bethany Mota? This is such a great question because it's so nice for me to just reminisce on this time. My answer is honestly so fun. For anyone who wasn't around during this like era of my life, my summer camp hosted like a week-long camp for YouTubers and like their fans to come along, which was crazy because it was like my two worlds and favorite things colliding. So Tyler and Bethany came. Tyler brought his best friend Corey and his mum, and all three of them were just so great. Bethany brought her best friend, and then also we had Alex Wasabi and JC Kalen, who were also just like super fun and chill to hang out with. To be completely honest, I think the person I bonded most with that week was Tyler's mum. She was just so funny, and like anytime Tyler had to like host or kind of lead an activity with the kids, that's who I would hang out and talk to. Shout out to Jackie, you're a real one. But obviously I love camp so much. It's really my Roman Empire. I'm always thinking about summer camp. So it was so special and cool to me to bring something very on online oriented and bring it into like the real world, and quite literally in the middle of a forest with like no phone reception, completely unplugged. It was an incredible week. Yeah, it was a dream. Who is your favorite character in the Vampire Diaries? I knew I would get this question, and honestly, I'm excited to talk about it. Now, I do still have 2 seasons left, so I don't feel like I can really adequately judge everyone just yet when I haven't seen like their full potential, you know? But if you guys would like me, once I'm finished, to do a full video tier ranking all the Vampire Diaries characters, give this video a like to let me know, because personally, nothing would make me happier. So I'd love to know if there was enough like demand for that. However, I will tell you who I'm obsessed with at the moment that I really didn't expect to be, and like has kind of caught me off guard, and that's Kai. I don't normally go for the like sociopathic serial killer type, but there's just something about him. Honestly, it's the fact that he's funny. That's all it takes with me. You know, at times I'm like, oh Klaus, you are so evil and bad. You should not do such horrible things. But I'm like, but Kai, who literally murdered a bunch of children, I think I could fix him. Originally, I was a bit meh about the whole Gemini Coven storyline. I was like, I just don't really care about them. They love a damn cloaking spell. That gets me every time. I'm like, God damn it. Why did we not like snap their neck when we had the chance? Because they're just gone. They're just invisible. They love a little invisiquay. But honestly, so would I. Can't blame them. I won't say too much more because I don't want to invite any spoilers into my comments, but I'm just loving having a new fictional world to immerse myself in and become obsessed with. Obviously, I've heard my whole life, you should watch the Vampire Diaries. It's so good. I will admit I was wrong when I said I just don't think I would like the supernatural elements. I'm not really like a fantasy sci-fi kind of girl, but I gotta give it to them. I'm hooked. Again, I'll save all my comments for like a future video when I can talk freely about this, and that will contain spoilers. But for now, just know I'm having a great time. And thank you to everyone who is replying to my Instagram story where I'm watching it, because you guys have been very respectful, very spoiler free, and it's just making it so much more fun. So thank you for letting me experience that with you. I know you probably all watched it like 10 years ago and are like, Ali, you're so late to the party. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me. You were all right. I love it. Thank you so much. For like the 5% of you that haven't seen it, this is your sign to start. I can personally vouch for it. And if it isn't available in your location, you can use today's video sponsor, Surfshark VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network. So essentially a cloaking spell for your online self. It prevents your data from being stolen when you're using public Wi-Fi. And you might think, well, I'm not someone that like takes their laptop to a cafe to work or anything, but like this includes your phone. If you're ever using your phone at an airport or out in the city, babe, you are at risk.
You in danger, girl.
Thankfully, one Surfshark account protects all of your devices. So if you're an iPad kid, they got you covered too. But like I mentioned, the best part is that it unlocks literally the entire world of content availability. It's how I watch a lot of my favorite old teen dramas, because Australia doesn't have access to certain things on Netflix. I just changed my country's location and there we have it. Now I can watch perfect, high quality, fantastic writing right away. You can use my code Sheehan for an extra 3 months free at surfshark.deals/Sheehan, or just scan this code. Thanks again, Surfshark, for sponsoring this part of today's video. I love you. And now let's answer some more questions. Have you ever stopped being a Taylor fan? Yes, actually. This was kind of a dark time, so I don't like to talk about it publicly, but when she sang Would've, Could've, Should've in Sydney and I wasn't there, and it was the weekend after my show, that was just not behavior that I could really accept. If you went to Sydney night 4, we're on thin ice, buddy. And so was Taylor. Also, when she made Hits Different but didn't put it on streaming for like 6 months, that was just evil. Someone said that the Tortured Poets department is pop and like early 2000s soft rock, and a lot like Red and Reputation. Thoughts on that? So I saw a tweet that said something around this album sounding a lot like Holy Ground and All Too Well. Unfortunately, if that is true, you guys won't get a reaction from me, because I will have passed away hearing the album, because those are the greatest songs ever written. I've been predicting this album to be way more piano heavy, so if we get any of that kind of rock guitar that we hear in Holy Ground and All Too Well, sadly it's over for me. I'm sure I'm the billionth person to ask you this, but any tips on accepting your body? You're right, like that's definitely something that a lot of us struggle with and a lot of people do ask about, especially when I make girl talk videos. I have talked a lot about body image and self-esteem and things like that in those videos, so if you haven't watched them, you might want to check those out. But the truth is, there is not really one perfect answer that will suit everyone, since everybody has such different insecurities. But I will tell you the only one thing that's ever worked for me, and that is gratitude. I know it sounds cliche and boring and maybe not that helpful, but shifting the focus from what you wish you could change to what you are so grateful for changes everything. The things that I find myself getting the most frustrated about when it comes to my body are the physical limitations that I have. So like my chronic knee pain or my vision that has declined since I was in an accident. These are things that I can't control, and they're the things that like bring me to tears because I'm so frustrated by them. At the end of the day, I have to remind myself I can't change what has happened. I can only change my reaction to it. I will recommend for you guys to read one one of my best friend's books. I've recommended this so much on here and on Instagram, so you may have already read it, but my friend Emma wrote this book called The Girl Who Fell from the Sky. I'm not gonna tell you what it's all about because I think she does a much better job, but knowing Emma and then also even reading her book, even already knowing her story, just reinforced my outlook on life and body image so much. And if you've read it, you'll know what I mean. Even if you have no issues with body image, I think it is one of the best books, so you absolutely should read it anyway. Also, in my personal life, I do a bit of work with people with all abilities. So some people are physically paralyzed or, you know, living in a wheelchair. And I just think it's impossible to be around people who would give anything to be able to like walk 5 steps to the door or hug a loved one and then go home and complain about my body and how it looks. How can I see my body and all that it does for me every day without me even realizing and not feel grateful for that? Like, the fact that I'm talking right now is something to be grateful for because not everyone can do that. The fact that I can hold this drink bottle and drink from a straw, again, these are privileges that not everyone has. I know I sound like a bit of a Pollyanna when I say stuff like this, like playing the glad game. Why am I getting emotional? But I really do just think reframing the way we view our bodies and focusing more on what we are so lucky to be able to do. I think at the end of the day, gratitude is the answer for everything. And I need to take my own advice because I really do get frustrated about the way that like my vision holds me back or has completely changed my life and what I'm able to do, because it stopped me from doing so many of the things that I used to love. Is I have to remember how lucky I am. There are so many things that I can do that someone else can't and would give anything to do. And at the end of the day, that's everything. Thank you for reminding me to take my own advice. Also, completely unrelated to that piece of advice, but I like to remember how much money these rich old white men make from us girls and women hating ourselves and like buying their products, giving into diet culture and surgeries and negative, just like self-hate. And I'm like, I actually don't want anyone else to profit from us for that. So I'm gonna choose to love myself in spite of you. Favorite Gilmore Girls character. It feels blasphemous to pick a man over the literal 3 Gilmore Girls or any woman, but my answer is Dave Rygalski. What a man.
I'm sort of an audio geek, sorry.
No, don't apologize. I love you. For being that way.
He is truly the standard for love interests in my eyes. This man read the entire Bible in one night, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, props to this man. So sad that we had to lose him to the OC and obviously Chad to One Tree Hill, because imagine the growth that Tristan could have had. I mean, Dave was already perfect, but like Lane just deserved so much better. But the long-term potential of those two, we were robbed. But honestly, also Lorelai. I think I've stolen a lot of my personality from her, so Lorelai Gilmore. What is your all-time favorite Taylor Swift song? There are different answers for this. What is the best song ever made? All Too Well 10-minute version, obviously. But then also like My Tears Ricochet. But then like my personal stan song is Holy Ground. But then I'm like, well, my favorite Taylor Swift song, because it's my favorite song ever made, is Would've, Could've, Should've, you know? And then like the best pop song ever made is obviously Style. It's all these different answers depending on asterisks to that question, you know? I think you understand what I mean. Can you guys believe I'm about to have a brand new Taylor album to rank? I'm so excited. Least favorite Taylor album. Okay, let's get into this. I have been obviously and understandably very hesitant to share my album ranking of Taylor's, not only because people are very vicious and protective and loyal and can't fathom their favorite album being ranked last. The comments I got on my ranking every single Taylor Swift song video just for putting songs in a lower tier. And that was tier ranking. So to put an album like physically last, personally, I couldn't handle the slander. But secondly, I also don't think it's possible for me to rank them. You know, when you have kids, like you probably have a favorite kid, but you probably don't have a least favorite. I don't know. I'm not a parent. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I have like a top 5 and a bottom 5, but I don't know if I could order them within that. Because that's all kind of a cop-out, I will tell you my answer to my least listened to Taylor Swift album. And that, firstly, have a guess before I say it. Put it in the comments if you want, see if you get it right. I think my least listened to Taylor Swift album is Evermore. And I don't think this is like her worst album or like least good album or anything like that. It is just for personal circumstance. Like this album came out 10 days after my dad passed away and on the day of my grandma's funeral. During a global pandemic when all of Melbourne was like still in lockdown, that album will always kind of be linked to that time for me, which is not Taylor's fault. So yeah, for me, it's just like a lot of the songs were so heavy, I couldn't listen to them at the time. Can't listen to them now because it just takes me back to that place. So yeah, I love the album. I think the songs on that album are some of the most incredible things she's ever written. I mean, that album has Tolerate It, for crying out loud. I think for me, it's just a little bit hard sometimes to listen to those songs. So yeah. I hope that's okay. Do you think you'd ever stop doing YouTube? That is a great question. I don't think I'll do YouTube forever, just because, I mean, it's very easy to get burnout doing a job like this. You kind of have to do a million things in one and also be fine with like looking at your face all day every day, and also coming up with new ideas every single week if you upload every week, which I don't always, but I try. Visually, for me, it's hard. Like with my eyesight, looking at a screen, I think is making my eyesight a lot worse. So we'll see with that. I'm a very social person, and the fact that I work completely alone all the time is maybe not great for me. I would love to have co-workers and colleagues and even just like people to talk to. Also, I'm indoors sitting down all day. Not great for my overall health. And I have a job where like my job security depends upon people liking me, which is very unhealthy and unsafe, right? Like from a job security perspective. Also like mental health and self-esteem, not great. I'm very lucky that most of my comment section is very, very kind and lovely and so sweet. Like I really think I am the luckiest YouTuber in the world, and that's thanks to you guys. But every now and again, something will go a little bit too viral and I see glimpses of what that scary world is like. It's honestly more so when like a YouTube short goes viral and like men see it. Those comments are disgusting. Don't ever look at like my viral Taylor short. The comments on there are yuck. But I tell you what, one great comment makes all of that worthwhile. Getting to connect with people is like my life's purpose, I think. Like creating community and maybe fostering a place for people that don't feel like they have that community anywhere else. Just making people feel welcome is all I ever want to do. So if you ever want to read something that will make you tear up, go to my previous video, which was it predictions about the Tortured Poets Department? Yeah, I will link it below, and read the comment that I have pinned because it makes me weep, and that is by far the best part about being a YouTuber, because someone else asked that as well. What's like the best and worst thing? That is by far the best part. Getting to connect with people all around the world, lifelong dream for me. But I don't think I'll do it forever. I think in another life, or maybe like when I'm a bit older, my dream job, I think I would love being like a kindergarten teacher, but also a park ranger, specifically in the US where all of my favorite national parks are. Getting to be outside all the time, talking to people. Oh my God, I love talking to strangers so much. If I can have a job where I'm paid to talk to people about their day, about their life, where they're from, sign me up. Finally, someone asking the hard-hitting questions. Stefan or Damon? Again, I have 2 seasons left, so I don't feel like I can commit to a team, to a side yet. I will say I'm much less definitively in one camp than I was with the Scott brothers. Like when I watched One Tree Hill, you know how the first like 6, 7 episodes, you're like, oh, Team Lucas, like he's the correct choice. He's smart and kind and a great guy. And Nathan's so evil and mean. And then from then for like the next 9 seasons, Team Nathan all the way. Never looked back. Not one part of me ever switched sides. It was firmly Team Nathan. You guys have seen my crush video. The Salvatore brothers, however, both have their redeeming qualities. Stefan, physically flawless. Beautiful, beautiful man. Honestly, serious question for the class. Why is Paul Wesley not like a rom-com leading man? I simply do not understand. And then Damon makes me laugh, you know, and I'm a sucker for that. For Elena, I find that whoever she is with, I'm shipping her with the other one. I just always want what I can't have, including 4 other fictional characters. So again, no spoilers in my comments, but feel free to let me know which team you're on. Where is your favorite place in the world and how many Taylor shows have you seen? My favorite place in the world would be my summer camp that I worked at. Also Yosemite National Park. There is just so many fond memories from my childhood there. Like my parents and I went camping a lot and did a lot of road trips both here and in the States. But Yosemite is one of those places that does not feel real. Even when you're there and you're seeing it with your eyes, it's like, how is this the planet that I exist on and that my little house and, you know, world is in? How is this also here? It is just so beautiful. If you haven't visited the US national parks like Yosemite, Yellowstone, Glacier National Park, Zion, Arches, Grand Canyon, like Monument Valley, the diversity of nature in the US and in these national parks is what I love so much, and why I love spending a lot of time outdoors in America. Colorado, Utah, like it's just so beautiful, and every state is so different. So if you've been looking for a sign to go see some national parks this summer, this is it. Make sure you get the Parks Pass, which is like $90 or $100, but per park you're paying $30 for entry each time. So if you do more than 3, it's so worth it. It lasts a whole year. I really wish they would just make me an ambassador. Obviously I'm a bit biased because these are where my like very fond memories are from growing up. But yeah, I just love the US national parks a lot. And how many Taylor shows have I seen? Okay, so in Australia she toured Fearless twice, like that little tiny bar show with like 800 people, I think.
I have to warn you that if I have a 5-minute conversation with you, you're probably gonna write a song about it.
still the best day of my life. Then she came back and did Fearless again a year later at like a proper arena. Speak Now, Red. Is it just me that has no memories from the Red tour? Because I didn't take any photos at that show, and there's also obviously not the Red tour, you know, on YouTube like we have with Speak Now and the rest. So I just like don't remember anything from that night, but I'm sure I loved it. Like I had to ask my friend who opened for Taylor on the Red tour, and when she said Ed Sheeran, I was like, that can't be right. Surely not. But I was there and I just don't remember. What's after that? 1989 Rep tour. Rep was really fun. I went with a big group of my friends when we were all living in Melbourne, and like all big Swifties. We went as a different Taylor era each because it was like the old Taylor can't come to the phone, she's dead. And our surprise song that night was I'm Only Me When I'm With You. So that, pretty iconic. And then, I saw Taylor during the Lover era at Mango Tango 2019. And then Eras tour night 1 and 3. So I guess 10. So very lucky there. Who's your biggest inspiration other than Taylor? This may be a very boring answer, seeing as no one else can really benefit from this, but it is hands down my parents. I genuinely won the lottery being born to the two kindest, most loving, supportive people in the world. My parents are the ones that gave me my love for travel and reading and curiosity about the world and musical theater, and now my mum is my best friend. So I feel just so lucky to have been raised by them. And yeah, literally everything my dad did and my mum does inspires me in every way. If I can live a life and have half as much positive impact as they've had, I'll be very happy. What's your dream vacation? Since you're saying vacation, if I could have like an all expenses paid beachy tropical trip where I just like lay on the beach and read all day and then go out to dinner, I would take that in a heartbeat. You know, maybe somewhere like Bora Bora, one of those overwater bungalows. I honestly don't even care what the accommodation's like. I just want to be somewhere warm where I can swim. That's all it takes for me. Any tourism boards watching this, I love photographing beautiful places, so please get in touch. Favorite nowadays TV shows, like released in the last few years? What a great question. Literally, is there one? I just sat here in silence for like 30 seconds trying to think of an answer to this, realizing that everything I watch is from the 2000s or the 2010s. Maybe The Sex Lives of College Girls. Anything Mindy Kaling writes is just genius. I have recommended this before, but if you haven't seen Travelers on Netflix, you need to watch it. Honestly, don't read the blurb or anything, just go in blind. You can be a little bit confused for like half of the pilot and then you'll be hooked. If I could watch any show again for the first time, it would be that. Oh, you know what was recent? Dairy Girls. I've just watched the first season and impeccable acting, impeccable writing. It's perfect. But if anyone has any modern shows they think I would like, let me know. I think next up I want to watch Lost. Mike's video on that has just got me hooked. Also, if you've never seen Desperate Housewives, I think that is one of the most underrated shows of all time. So definitely check that out. Fave Maisie Peters song at the moment. Oh, I'm so glad you asked me this. So Place We Were Made will always have a very special place in my heart. It was the first Maisie song I ever heard, and it just reminds me of laying on the docks at my summer camp with my camp best friend, thinking about how much we love it there. The Band and I also reminds me of all of my road trips with my friends across America in like big RVs. Like I can't believe what an amazing song that is and how relatable it feels, even though I haven't experienced what she's experiencing. Maisie's songwriting is like Taylor in that sense, in that like the more specific the details, the more real it feels to us. That being my favorite probably comes as no surprise to you guys. You know, it is like her long live essentially, especially this part of the song.
Living in the little rock laundry room, oh it was breaking down, it was falling in love.
So good. Since seeing the Good Witch tour, I've just had coming of age stuck in my head. Baby, I'm the Iliad, of course you couldn't read me is one of the best lyrics I've ever heard. Rappers wish they could write bars that solid. Do you recommend the High School Musical resort? Was it worth the trip? Oh my god, yes. Obviously it was quite expensive. I definitely recommend going with a group of friends so you can split all the cost. It was one of the best weeks of my life. It was just so cool being somewhere that embraced the reason it's famous, you know? They didn't shy away from it. You know when like a lot of celebrities get famous for something and they kind of want to shit on it and shy away from that and distance themselves? Cough Jacob Elordi. This resort, whilst being so fancy and classy and nice, it was kind of more of like a village than a resort. They really embraced it and that just felt even more endearing to me. So I loved it. And I really enjoyed playing golf there, which I've never done before. And I had a lot of fun. If you haven't seen my vlog from Lava Springs, you should go and watch that. Also my vlog from East High School. They'll be linked below. Tips to accept your body even after weight gain. So I could go on a whole spiel about like weight doesn't equal value, etc. etc. Like, we know this. It's just more about societal pressures and feeling uncomfortable in your body when it feels different, which I think is valid. Like, you're gonna feel uncomfortable if something feels different, right? But different doesn't mean bad. It just takes some getting used to. My biggest tip for this, firstly, is be very, very kind to yourself. Speak lovingly towards yourself the way you would a friend or a loved one. That is always the most important thing. But secondly, is to get yourself some fun new clothes. I think there's nothing worse than feeling physically uncomfortable in your skin and in your clothes. This is our home, so we want to feel good. We can't leave, you know, this earth suit that we exist in. We have to treat it well and treat it kindly. I think you should treat this as an excuse to treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
You can go thrifting, you can go on Depop or eBay or Poshmark. You don't have to spend a bunch of money, but get some cute basics that make you feel really excited, and let yourself play dress ups again. Wearing things that don't fit or don't feel right will never make us feel good. So in this case, I think you deserve to treat yourself to some new, fun, cute clothes.
Clothes. Treat yourself. Fragrances. Treat yourself. Massages. Treat yourself. Mimosas. Treat yourself.
Have you read any good books lately? If so, what are they? Yes, I'm currently reading Sapiens, which is maybe the biggest book I've ever read. It has taken me a while to get through. I only really read a chapter or even half a chapter at a time because it's a lot of information to take in, but also it's so fascinating that I find myself stopping to like highlight it or look something up or tell someone that I'm with about what I just read. So I definitely recommend that. I also very luckily got a Kindle for Christmas. On this, I've been reading Carrie Soto is Back. And if you're like, Ali, weren't you reading that literally in January? Yes, I was. At the start of this year, I felt so proud of my reading goals. I'd read like 4 books in the month of January, and I was like, slay, I'm gonna read 100 books this year. I don't think that's mathematically right. But then I came home from my holiday and like was back to work and things, and I've barely read since. So I'm still reading Carrie Soto is Back, but I'm loving it. So I do recommend that. Taylor Jenkins Reid is probably my favorite recent author, but I think my favorite book that I've ever read is called The Happiest Man on Earth. It is kind of a memoir, but more sort of storytelling by a Holocaust survivor. And that might sound really dark, and like obviously it is, but it's also so incredibly life affirming and inspiring. I could recommend everyone to read 2 books. It would be My Friend M's and then this book. Again, it just makes you reflect on your life and think, how do I ever complain about anything? You know, we are just so lucky. It is beautifully written. I can't recommend it enough. Where do you get your concert earplugs? I'm including this because I really want you guys all to take care of your hearing. Mine are Loops. I think I have the Experience or Experience Pro, which are like both designed for concerts. They say that like 5 minutes of music that's too loud can give you permanent hearing loss. And again, we've talked about this. As someone that loves music, I do not want that. So if you're someone that goes to concerts or even like football games or anything like that, get yourself some Loops. I use them now at the Eras tour and also the Jonas Brothers and also Maisie, I think. It doesn't diminish your experience at all. It just made me feel so much better the next day. Sorry if this is intrusive, but do you make any money from the videos that have music in them? Honestly, it's a great question. Like, if I didn't do YouTube, I would be very curious about it too. So yeah, basically no. Any reaction video or video where anyone uses more than like 5 seconds of music is completely demonetized. So you don't make any money from those. That's why a lot of creators use Patreon, because if they're making a lot of reactions, they can't make any money from that. Therefore, there needs to be like another form of income. Videos like rankings or just discussion videos, I do make money from, whereas reactions or anything with music in them, I just don't make anything, which is fine. You know, I do a good even mix of both, but because I have some other, you know, kinds of videos that I like to do, I can throw a few reactions in there and still get by, you know? Random maybe, but can you speak any other languages? Would you ever learn? God, I would love to learn. I feel like I almost wish that I was one of those kids where my parents had forced me into something really young, whether it be like a sport, but more so when we're young, our neuroplasticity is just so, it's like strong, you know, and it's so easy for us to learn new things. Whereas once I got to like 21, I was like, I think I'm tapped out. Anything that I could learn in this life, it's already in there, you know? But I would love to try. I should just download Duolingo or something. I've been wanting to learn sign language for a long time. I think I only know like my name. So maybe this is my sign, no pun intended, to get my ass back into gear and learn that. What are some of your fave makeup products which you use most often? I wanted to answer this one because you guys often ask me about this pink eyeshadow thing that I use a lot. I will tell you about it, but I don't know if I can even link it because I don't think they make it anymore and mine's probably expired. I probably shouldn't be using it. It is the Too Faced Blush Compact. It's not even eyeshadow. It's actually just blush that I like putting on my eyes. And someone asked me once, like, what is the story behind the pink eyeshadow? I think it's because growing up, I rejected a lot of like stereotypically girly things, internalized misogyny things. And this is my way of taking that back, you know? I never wore pink or proudly talked about my interests that were like stereotypically girly things. So now that I have this space, which is all my own, fully embrace that side of myself, which feels very nice. goodness. The mascara I use is a very, very cheap one. You can get it on Amazon. I think it's called like Lash Princess or something. It looks like this and I'll link it below, but it just gives me like the longest lashes. I don't really care that much about volume. I just like length. Get your minds out of the gutter. Oh my gosh, my favorite beauty product of all time. I'm wearing it right now. You can see how empty this is. It is this Emco Beauty lip balm. I think it's a dupe for something, maybe Laneige, but I haven't used that, so I couldn't tell you. Specifically this berry flavor. It is the greatest thing of all time and also just looks pretty. It's what I wear in all of my videos and it just tastes so good I could eat it. I can't recommend this enough. By far, my favorite skincare product is sunscreen. Any sunscreen, doesn't matter which, just wear it. Ooh, can you tell us about your experience meeting Andrea Swift? I would love to. So I've actually met Andrea twice. The first time was at that little tiny show in Melbourne in 2008 or 9. I never get that year right. Taylor was kind of so small and unknown at the time that she and Andrea just pulled up in front of the venue in a little slide open, not a minivan, but like, I guess it is a minivan. Yeah, it's like a red car, the door pulled open. I remember this so clearly. Taylor was in a red dress with like a scalloped top and green straps and cowboy boots, hair curled to the nines. And Andrea was with her and they just like walked right up to us, signed some things, said hello and walked in the front door. Because I was there like 4th or 5th in line, we were lucky enough to, you know, say hi to them. And obviously that was insane and felt like a dream. I met her again at the second Fearless tour. So like the next year, she was just hanging out in like the sound booth at the back of the general admission section on the floor. And I don't know if it was like during a song or during the opening act, but she was just standing alone, like looking around, like doing nothing. So I went and said hi and I was like, oh, we've actually met last year. Like, how are you going? She said, it's so nice to meet you again. Like, thank you for coming back. I was like, you don't have to thank me for coming to see like my favorite artist, but okay. And I told her like, God, I probably sounded stupid, but I told her like, thank you for raising such a great daughter. Like, she's such a great role model for me. I love what she does. Thank you for shaping the woman that we all, you know and love so much. And she thanked me for that. And we just had like a probably 1-minute conversation. Took this very high angle photo. Shout out to little kid me with my braces. But yeah, that was that. I feel very lucky. She was so kind. Andrea is the best. And I'm pretty sure at one of the shows, I think I was given one of these. I know that Caitlin gave me one of them, likely the debut one, because that was when I saw her like Fearless tour. But this one, I think this one might have been from Andrea. Thanks, girl. God, I wish I had like vlogs from that time because my memory sucks. Pick one. No more new Swift albums or no more new Swift tours. Weirdly, this isn't that hard for me. Even though I just talked about like the best experiences of my life, which were both at tours, I would say no new tours. The prospect of not ever getting more albums from Taylor would make me so sad, but I could live in a world where she didn't tour anymore and just gave us albums. It would be a different question if she was gonna tour again, but I couldn't go, or she was gonna release music, but I couldn't listen to it. That I would have to think about some more, but let me know what your answer would be. What do you wish we knew about you? A side of yourself you don't get to talk about a lot. Maybe my travel side, because before I was creating pop culture content, I was doing a lot of travel stuff. Like that is my other biggest passion in life. The pandemic kind of shifted my path a little bit. Yeah, travel. I love travel so much. I just love getting outside my comfort zone, meeting new people, seeing new places. And travel has like led me to meet a bunch of my closest friends to this day. Honestly, most of my best friends actually. They're all scattered around the world now, like Horcruxes. Back in like 2016, 2017, I would host meetups in different cities and countries around the world, and that was so fun. So I think I would say travel, but maybe you guys already knew that anyway. Have you ever felt lost in life? As in you're not in a bad place, just not happy. How did you cope? Yes, my friend, I feel like you're asking this because you feel this way, and I'm so sorry to hear that. You are completely not alone. Not only have I definitely felt this way, but I know almost everyone has at some point. For me, after I graduated high school, I felt really lost, and a few bad things did happen in my life, but I experienced pretty bad depression for quite a few years and didn't reach out for help because I thought I didn't deserve it. I thought I wasn't sick enough. I was like, that's just silly. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, I felt too privileged to have depression, which again, I'm like, yeah, you were, you silly goose. I know that's not valid. I know that mental illness does not discriminate. And like, if I could do anything in my life again, it would be just to seek help sooner, because I wasted so much of my life just laying in bed, being unable to live and do anything. The question was, how did you cope? This is a really specific answer that is probably not that helpful to anyone. And I don't even know how I did this, but I signed up to go and work at a summer camp, and that changed my whole life. I don't think I've ever really talked about how dark things were for me before that time, because leading up to it, I was like, how am I gonna get on a plane? That's a thing that I can't do. Getting on a plane overseas when I feel like this is impossible. Somehow I did it, and within my first hour at my camp, I was like, you know when people feel like they have a God moment? Like, I felt saved. I felt like me again, and just like coming home to myself was really, really nice. So to translate that for anyone else, I would say to find something that just sets your soul on fire. It does not matter what it is. Go out into the world and put yourself in the position to just find joy, but also therapy and medication if you need it. Medication is incredible and life-saving. I have a prescription for my anxiety medication. I talk about that a lot in my Girl Talk videos so that hopefully people will feel less alone if that's something that they've been considering. I know there's a bit of a stigma around, mental health in general, but also taking medication for it. So this is me reminding you that there is nothing wrong with that. And like at the end of the day, we have one life. Anything that will make you feel better, that is healthy and safe and for your betterment is a good thing. Who cares what anyone else says? What Taylor song do you think would fit on the Twilight soundtrack? Any movie? I think I went on a rant about this maybe in my Taylor song ranking video, but I genuinely think Haunted was written for the Twilight New Moon soundtrack. Those lyrics, especially verse 2, I'm like, you cannot tell me that it's not about Edward and Jacob. I stand by that. And I also think the fact that Hits Different was not used in the Barbie movie makes no sense to me. I've never heard a song more perfectly fit a movie, so big mistake. Huge. How long have you been plant-based and how did you make that decision? I have been vegan for over 10 years now, which is insane. That is such a long period of time. I remember little baby me finding out about veganism and like being exposed to things that sort of changed my mind for the first time ever. And I was so scared to call myself a vegan because I was like, what if this is something I can't commit to? What if I want to do this and try but fail and go back to eating animals? I will feel like a failure and a fraud. And the 2 vegan friends that I knew at that time were like, don't worry about it. Like, just do what feels right. You don't need to label yourself. Just take it easy and like live in a way that feels right to you. So I did that, and here I am a decade later, still vegan. I made the decision because initially I think I just found out that a plant-based diet was like 10 times better for the environment than a meat-based one. I was like, well, that's a pretty easy way for me to like lessen my carbon footprint. So I was dabbling with that, and then also I found out dairy is like really bad for your skin, and I was very much struggling with my acne at the time. I had been to dermatologists and been made to feel so embarrassed because of how bad my skin was. So I was just looking for anything that would help, and someone said to me, like, you know that cows make milk for their babies, right? Like the same way humans make milk for our babies, cows only make it when they're pregnant to grow their cows, you know, really quickly and really big. And I was like, that is a good point. Why would that be for me to drink? Of course, my body doesn't react well to that. And then I watched the film Earthlings on YouTube and I was like, that's me done. I haven't been living aligned with what I believe. So from there, it was a pretty easy switch. People will often ask like, oh, well, don't you crave chicken sometimes? Or like, you know, miss X food. The only way I can explain it is that in the same way you don't crave dog meat or like cat meat or rabbit or something, I don't crave chickens because you just don't see them as like a food anymore, you know? It's never been something that I had to consciously fight against or like was an element of like self-control. If it was a diet, I could not do it. I don't have self-control in that way. It's just been something that I view differently. I also think Legally Blonde 2 probably planted that seed. Like, animal testing doesn't make any sense. So yeah, thankfully everyone in my life was pretty supportive. My core family went vegan as well. A lot of my friends went vegan. They're not all vegan now, but at the time they were, so that was really nice. And my God, is it a lot easier to be vegan now than it was in 2013. Like, I think back then I just could only eat vegetables and soy ice cream, and now I literally eat the same as anyone else, just vegan version. So very blessed. What's the meaning behind your name? I don't know if you mean like my username on Instagram being a girl named Ali, because people often don't realize what that says. It's just a girl named Ali. And that is just because when I had Tumblr, I didn't want my full name to be in the username. So I was just like, well, I'm just a girl named Ali. Like that, that's it. Or if you mean my like regular name, Ali, my parents just liked ally, meaning friend. They just thought that was like a nice sentiment. So yeah, I'm just an ally. Which video / what type of video has been the most fun to make on your channel? That's a great question. I really like ranking videos. They are such a bitch to make. Just the editing, it's a nightmare. I have to really commit to being like having no social life and having a sore back for a week when I make those, but they are my favorites. I really like videos when I'm with other people, like because it's normally just me, and talking to a camera in a room alone is very unnatural. So anywhere I'm like with a friend, that's my favorite. Like when I sat down with Nina, or I think I've done videos with like Gabby or different friends. Anything conversational, I love that. First Date Guy said Life Size is Lindsay Lohan's best movie over Parent Trap. Thoughts? Okay, so obviously I disagree. The Parent Trap is not only her best movie, but the best movie of all time. However, I don't think this is a problem. I really like having differing opinions with people, especially if it's someone you're dating. I think that's where all the fun is, you know? Like, ask him why he thinks that. That movie has an incredible musical number. We've got to give him that. I think disagreeing on things is great. And that is coming from your local, argumentative, antithetical dream girl. What are the best and worst things about content creating for a living? Great question. The best, I think, is being able to set your own hours. It's also kind of the worst because I feel like I'm never actually off. Someone that has a 9 to 5, unless you're a teacher who is pretty much always working, you can come home and then not have to do anything else until the next day when you go back. Whereas for me, I'm like, why would I stop at 5 if I have more editing to do? Like, I'll just edit until 10:30 or sometimes 2 a.m, you know? So because I only get paid when I'm producing work, I feel like I just have to always be doing that anytime I have free time. So that's not the healthiest, but at the same time, that gives me the luxury of picking my own hours. So like I can take a day off if I need to. I can go traveling and still work wherever I am in the world. That I would not trade for anything. Okay, I need to know your favorite friendship in the Vampire Diaries. This one is easy. It's Bonnie and Damon. These guys have just bonded so much in the prison world and I am living for it. I don't know why I was deprived of this duo for so long because together they're just iconic. Like Elena's 2 favorite people. It's a match made in heaven. And now before we finish up, I have a few questions from Twitter. What is your dream Taylor album? Genre, collabs, also Illy. Illy right back. I realized this morning in the shower, my 3 like favorite genres literally overlap in one Taylor Swift album. And those interests are like country, musical theater, and like slightly emo, soft rock, 2000s punk bands. Those 3 albums combined are literally Speak Now. So that is my dream album. The only thing I could ask for is another album like that. I forgot to answer the second part of this question. My dream collaboration for Taylor would be 2 of my other favorite country artists, Luke Combs and Kelsey Ballerini. Specifically for the debut re-recording, I just think that would be incredible. Thoughts on Guts Spilled and new Sabrina single. So I apologize to all of you who messaged me saying, where is the Guts Spilled reaction? I apologize. I listened to the bonus tracks last year when they came out on the vinyl variants. For anyone that doesn't know, 4 of the 5 bonus tracks were on the 4 vinyl variants that Olivia had. Exactly the same as what Taylor's doing. Like I mentioned in my unpopular opinions video, all songs eventually come to streaming. It shows how much you guys know my music taste now because you were all like, oh my god, you're gonna love So American. You were absolutely right. It is definitely my favorite. It is so cute, so fun, and I think it might be Olivia's first official love song. Is that correct? Anyway, I love it. I think Sabrina's new song comes out here tonight. I won't be able to react to it because like I said, I'm going away for the weekend for a wedding, but I'm so excited to hear it. Like this is the beginning of a new Sabrina era. So I'll put my thoughts on screen here. Have you seen Grey's Anatomy? Yes, multiple times. I've rewatched it a bunch, but I'm not up to date. When I rewatch it, I kind of go from seasons 1 through like 9 and then just start again. I definitely saw the pandemic season and then maybe 1 or 2 after that, but like all my favorites are gone. Is it worth me catching up? I kind of want to. How tall are you? I want to put this in because this is the one thing people comment on when they meet me. I'm 5'5", which is like 162 centimeters, and people are always like, wow, you're so much shorter than I thought you would be. So I'm taking that as a compliment. The fact that I apparently give off tall girl energy, I will take that. Thank you so much. When are you watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer? That is a valid question. I also did watch the pilot of Veronica Mars and really enjoyed that. Like I said earlier, I have no time for modern shows. I need to go hang out with my 2000s girlies, and I think these 2 are definitely on the roster. What other hobbies do you have? I love this question because I think hobbies are so important, especially in today's day and age where everything is capitalism and everything is if you have a hobby, monetize it, which I guess I did. But I play sport. I've played hockey since I was like 5. I'm not very good at it now because my eyes suck and it's a pretty dangerous sport, but I also love being creative. That was kind of why I started my channel in the first place, wanting a creative outlet. So I love making things with my hands, like any excuse to make an outfit for a concert or friendship bracelets or anything like that. I love scrapbooking, painting. I just went and did like a color me mine vibe recently and like painted a vase. So that was really fun. I definitely need to feed my creative and physically active sides a lot more because everything these days is just screens and it's not good. I should get back into that. I would love to hear what hobbies you guys have, whether you play a team sport or like do anything after school or on the weekends or after work for fun. Let me know what it is. Oh, I also like love acting. But I haven't done that in such a long time. Actually, someone else submitted like, what did you want to be when you grew up? And I think my answer would be an actress because I loved acting, but I don't actually want to be an actress. Acting is so fun. I love getting to like be vulnerable and try something different and just play someone else. That's so exciting to me. But then it sucks that like if you are successful at your job as an actor, you essentially sacrifice all privacy. And that's not something that I would ever want for myself. So I guess my answer is I would be an actress, except I'd be so good at it that I would become famous and I don't want that for myself. No, I actually don't think I was ever a good actress. I just really enjoyed doing it. And I know some of you will relate to this. It is a tragedy being born with so much love for musical theatre and not an ounce of musical talent in my bones. Something went wrong there. There was a mix-up and I need a do-over. I deserve to be able to sing and I simply cannot. I can only appreciate. What's your interior design style these days? Nancy Myers. Always Nancy Myers. And honestly, I found my style changing a lot lately. I know like I'm wearing a lot of color here now, but if you guys have seen my Instagram stories lately, I've been wearing some blacks and some grays. Am I finally maturing? Like I'm finding myself drawn towards basics and classic lines and like staple pieces and timeless items rather than my usual like bright, florally, colorful, I don't know, like regular style. So, I mean, I'm literally wearing a lot of color now, so I'm not too worried. Okay, I'm gonna end on this one because it's a very endearing and interesting question. What is something you would never change about yourself? Love you. Love you too. I would say my resilience. I think going through a lot early in life kind of forces you to build a bit of resilience. Experiencing hard things, being treated badly by people, is putting it lightly, and not developing like a cold heart, not turning away from the world, still wanting to always see the best in people is something I'm really proud of because I don't think that's necessarily easy or like the default reaction. So yeah, I think my ability to still always see the good in the world, or at least like want to and like actively search for that, and always wanting to see the good in people despite experience proving otherwise. Some might call me naive, the way that I would still like want to see the good in people, but I think keeping a soft heart despite the things that I've been through is something I'm really proud of. So that is something I would want to never change. Well, I doubt anyone has watched me yap about myself this long, but if any of you have made it to the end, thank you so much for being here with me. You know what? If you've watched this far, comment the frog emoji. Let's confuse people that didn't watch all the way to the end. But seriously, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here today and every time. I seriously appreciate you all so much. And I don't say this enough, but like it means so much to me that we have created such a beautiful, lovely, kind space here on the internet for one another. Obviously, the way you interact with me is so nice and like I feel so lucky for that, but also the way you interact with one another just makes me so proud and so happy. So thank you for being so kind to one another. Ew, I sound like Ellen DeGeneres, but seriously, thank you guys for being genuinely just the best in every way. I love you. I'm gonna shut up now, I promise. And I'll see you next time. Bye!
Is this what it feels like?